A major heat wave is expected to bring record high temperatures to the United States over the next 1 to 2 weeks, in addition to significant rounds of severe weather with damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes, in addition to some torrential rainfall, which could lead to flash flooding. We're going to be going through the forecast and everything that you need to know in this weather forecast. We are here for straightforward, reliable, and accurate weather information across southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics. If you like that type of information, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we do daily forecast updates on this channel. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. Looking at severe weather here today, a lot of different areas, 3 separate areas, in fact, of severe weather. One up into the Dakotas, another one into eastern Illinois, central and southern Indiana, moving into northern Kentucky, southern Ohio, and western West Virginia, and then another one in the I-95 corridor of the Northeast, Boston, Hartford, down to New York City, and surrounding states there. In yellow, scattered severe thunderstorms are possible. In dark green, isolated severe thunderstorms are possible in that area. Looking at the threat for tornadoes, there is a low and non-zero tornado threat today. In the green across the central Dakotas, a 2% chance of tornadoes from northeast Missouri through central Illinois into central and southern Indiana, southwest Ohio, and northern Kentucky, but also across parts of the Northeast from Maine into New Hampshire, into portions of eastern New York and Massachusetts, keeping an eye on that as well. Again, in the green, that's a 2% chance of tornadoes within a 25-mile radius of any given point in or around these areas. And then heading into the day tomorrow to start the work week on Monday, July 21st, another marginal threat for severe weather across the high plains, including eastern Montana, the Dakotas, western Minnesota, down into Nebraska, but also from Kentucky and eastern Tennessee, down into Georgia and the Carolinas, including the low country of South Carolina. In the dark green, that's isolated severe thunderstorms that may be possible. And again, there is a tornado risk, mainly for central South Dakota tomorrow, a 2% in the dark green here. And again, across this region, we could be seeing a couple isolated tornadoes. As we always do, let's start in the eastern United States. We'll move into the central U.S. and then the western U.S. after that. Here at noon, we are watching some showers and storms scattered about across the Northeast, and then another cluster back here in eastern Illinois and western Indiana here at noon. A couple showers in the Smoky Mountains region of eastern Tennessee. As we go through the mid-afternoon, we're going to see showers and storms continue to develop and intensify as we get to peak daytime heating. Boston, Hartford, down to New York City, and even up into Portland, Maine could be seeing some heavier thunderstorms. A few of those could be severe, damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Hail to quarter size, and an isolated tornado threat. Same deal here across portions of the Ohio Valley, including big cities, Indianapolis, Dayton, Ohio, Cincinnati, and Louisville. We'll be keeping an eye on that this afternoon. And then as we go into the evening hours, some of these storms along the Ohio River will train over the same areas, moving from west to east. This could heighten the flooding threat as we go into overnight tonight. And then waking up for your workday on Monday, could see some showers and storms from around Quincy, Illinois, and St. Louis, down through Springfield, Louisville, into Lexington and Richmond, Kentucky. Keeping an eye on that. A lot of us here, besides that, will be dry. And then going into the afternoon, we're going to watch those popcorn type storms setting up across the southeast. That could bring a damaging wind and hail threat primarily to the southeast. The tornado threat is very, very low. Let's look here at the central U.S. at noon. We're watching that cluster of storms in eastern Illinois and western Indiana. Another thunderstorm or two up into the central Dakotas and eastern Dakotas here at noon. Those will be fizzling as we go through the afternoon. Additional storms may be developing here across the high plains of the Dakotas down into Nebraska as we go into this evening. Additional storms also firing across portions of the mid-Mississippi Valley. So we're talking near St. Louis, downstate Illinois as we go into this evening. A few of those could produce some damaging wind gusts up to 60 or 70 miles an hour, quarter-size hail, and an isolated tornado threat. We start off Monday morning with a big cluster of severe weather up into North Dakota, and that could provide the threat already for large hail, damaging straight-line winds, and an isolated tornado threat off the bat on Monday morning at 7 a.m. Then we go to midday. That's going to push into western and central Minnesota, moving toward the Twin Cities. And this could be a big damaging wind threat up here with winds that could exceed 70 miles per hour with this backward C shape. You can see the wind pushing the rainfall forward. That is definitely a possibility. And then that could dive into western Wisconsin toward La Crosse by the time we get into mid-afternoon on Monday, but on a weakening trend. And then you look to the west again, additional storms will be developing Monday afternoon, and those again will take a run at the upper Midwest before weakening Monday night. Looking here at the rainfall amounts that these storms could be be bringing, especially across the upper Midwest from portions of North Dakota, central Minnesota, and along the Mississippi River there into western Wisconsin, into Illinois. Could be seeing areas of up to 3 or 4 inches of rain, especially if you get multiple rounds of clusters of showers and thunderstorms as we go between now and Tuesday morning on July 22nd. Looking here at the western U.S., pretty quiet here at noon, but as you know, when we get the monsoonal flow in the afternoon, peak daytime heating, the sun works the surface of the earth and warms it up, and we're going to start to see some thunderstorms out there across the Rockies, mainly on an isolated to scattered basis. And then as we go into the evening, we're watching some steady rains from Oregon and Washington State, especially southern Washington State, into northern Idaho and western Montana. And then going through the day on Monday, again, we're going to see the scattered thunderstorms across a large chunk of the West, including parts of the Rockies. Now going into Tuesday, July 22nd, yes, you guessed it, more severe weather from the upper Midwest into the plains, and this includes western portions of the UP of Michigan, northern Wisconsin this time around, into Minnesota, the Dakotas, especially for South Dakota, and into Nebraska, with the chance for more damaging winds, large hail, and a couple of tornadoes. Here's Tuesday morning, probably have some ongoing clusters of showers and storms from North Dakota down into northern Illinois. Some of those could be severe, and then as we go into the afternoon, we're just going to see additional clusters of showers and storms revolving around our ring of fire pattern up and over the top of that ridge of high pressure clockwise. We're just going to see those showers and storms. Here are your temperatures across the board as we go into this afternoon on Sunday, July 20th, and you can see plentiful of some cool air further up to the north into the upper Midwest, central Great Lakes into the Northeast. Look at Maine. If you're in Maine, you're loving the temperatures this afternoon into the upper 60s and lower 70s, lower humidity more importantly. But look at, in contrast, we're in the upper 90s, low 100s from Kansas down into the Oklahoma region, into the Lone Star State of Texas, and then along the Gulf Coast, and then obviously the desert Southwest, it is hot as well. That temperature regime will continue through the week between Monday, July 21st through Friday, July 25th. Above normal temperatures are favored along the Mississippi Valley primarily, pushing at times up into the Midwest, southern Great Lakes, and the Ohio Valley. And this is the start of a major heat wave. And this ridge of high pressure is going to build stronger, peaking in intensity by the middle of this week on Wednesday, July 23rd. And that is when we're going to be seeing daily highs of 90s and triple digits all the way up into the Midwest, southern Great Lakes, and the Ohio Valley. So here we go into Monday, and you can see Tuesday, we're just going to have daily highs into the 90s, triple digits out there. And to help this pattern and get even hotter and more humid, the corn crops are in a mature state in late July that they always have been. And they're going to be in the dew points. They're going to be in the 70s, and the corn crop actually gives off moisture. That's what helps grow the corn crops in itself. That's called evapotranspiration or corn sweat, and you can see that will raise our dew points into the upper 70s, and yes, those really muggy lower 80s. This is air you can wear. You walk outside, you can feel it immediately with, you start to sweat and stuff like that without even doing any exercise. That is the air you can wear, and then as we go through the week, that will push our heat index values up into the triple digits, especially Wednesday afternoon. We could be pushing into the 110 range, 115 range for the heat indexes in Illinois, into Indiana, much of Iowa, up into Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, Michigan. It's going to be very hot out there on Wednesday. Make sure to stay hydrated if you venture outdoors or if you work outdoors for any fact. Find shade, and better yet, find air conditioning, because those 80-degree dew points, I'll tell you this, I've been in the shade with an 80-degree dew point before. I live in northern Illinois. It is still hot in the shade on those type of days. So make sure you find air conditioning on those type of days if you can. Now, those thunderstorm clusters will continue through the week. They will be severe. They'll produce heavy rainfall across the upper Midwest. Now, looking at the long range, we're going to be watching this ridge of high pressure that is in the south central and southeastern U.S. this week, going to be retrograding further west next week and expanding in intensity as well. So if you think summer is close to being done, well, think again, because we're going to see that heat expand across the plains and across the west, and those temperatures, again, will be soaring across the plains, especially the central and the southern plains, which by the time we get to early August, our soil moisture is going to be grasping at straws in this region. So drought development very quickly is likely across Kansas, like areas from Wichita down to Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Dallas-Fort Worth. I know it's been been very active this spring. That likely will be drying out our soil moisture in early August, promoting even more high heat. And then you look to the north of that, the apex of that ridge, we get the northwest flow. They start up in the Dakotas with those thunderstorm clusters. They drop southeast off the northwest flow, including the upper Midwest. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio have to watch out for those thunderstorm clusters. This pattern is still notorious for producing derechos. A derecho is a fast-moving line of thunderstorms, typically associated with producing widespread damaging winds, typically of 75 miles per hour or greater. In extreme instances, they can get as intense as producing winds of 100 miles per hour or greater. Hail, tornadoes, very heavy rainfall that could cause flooding is also associated with derechos at times as well. Now let's look at the tropics here, and we are looking at the Atlantic. Now there is a 10% chance of development from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, highlighting this area in the central and western main development region. This is still well away from any source of land, well away from the Lesser Antilles right now, and it was at a 20% yesterday, so it has decreased, and the reason for that is because we have a lot of Saharan dust from Africa moving over the main development region and across the Atlantic basin, and that is dry air, right? So that is going to suppress this storm development from happening. So this could be our saving grace if you live in the Lesser Antilles, and also due to the fact that we have cooler water temperatures than normal in the main development region, also helping to suppress this as well. Now let's look at the East Pacific Basin. This has also decreased from 30% to 20%, and again, it's not even close to any source of land. Hawaii is way to the west, North America way to the east, northeast, so this is over the open water and approaching cooler water too, so this is probably going to decrease in coverage and intensity as it moves further to the west. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this forecast that is straightforward, reliable, accurate, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Daily weather forecast. We'll likely have another video out later this evening around 6 o'clock, and then we'll do another video tomorrow. So we'll keep you updated on the severe weather, the heat wave, and all that, and including the tropics. So make sure to subscribe, like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, make sure to jot that down in the comment section down below the video. We're here 24/7, all day, all night, to answer any and all questions that you may have. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for the support, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend out there.